and safety in the workplace, there are some basics that every employee should be aware of. These include understanding how to prevent accidents and injuries, knowing what to do if an accident or injury does occur, and being familiar with the types of hazards that are present in their particular work environment. By taking the time to learn about these topics, employees can help keep themselves and their coworkers safe on the job. One of the most important things for employees to understand is how to prevent accidents and injuries from happening in the first place. There are a number of steps that workers can take to reduce their risk of being injured on the job, such as paying attention to their surroundings, using proper safety equipment, and following all safety procedures. Additionally, employees should be aware of the types of hazards that are present in their work environment and take steps to avoid them. If an accident or injury does occur, it is important for employees to know what to do next. Employees should report any accidents or injuries to their supervisor immediately so that proper medical attention can be sought. In some cases, workers may need to fill out an accident report so that the incident can be properly documented. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, is a federal agency that is responsible for ensuring safe and healthful working conditions for workers in the United States. OSHA's mission is to prevent work-related injuries, illnesses, and deaths by providing education, training, and outreach programs, setting and enforcing standards, and conducting research. There are many different types of hazards that can be present in the workplace, ranging from slips, trips, and falls to more serious dangers like chemical exposures and electrical hazards. It is important for employers to identify all potential hazards in their workplace and take steps to mitigate them. Additionally, employees should be aware of the risks present in their work environment and take steps to protect themselves. Accidents and injuries can occur in any workplace, no matter how safe it is. It is important to know what to do if an accident or injury does occur. First, seek medical attention if necessary. Then, report the incident to your supervisor and follow any company procedures for reporting accidents and injuries. Finally, stay calm and cooperative if OSHA or other investigators come to your workplace to investigate the incident. Ergonomics in the workplace. Ergonomics is the study of how people interact with their environment. It looks at how people use equipment and how they perform tasks. Ergonomics is used to help design workstations, tools, and tasks so that they fit the worker better. This can help to reduce injuries and make work more efficient. Why is ergonomics important in the workplace? Work-related musculoskeletal disorders, WMSDs, are a type of injury that can occur when workers perform tasks that require them to put repetitive or excessive stress on their muscles, tendons, or joints. WMSDs can cause pain, swelling, numbness, and loss of strength in the affected area. In severe cases, WMSDs can lead to permanent damage and disability. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, WMSDs accounted for over 20% of all work-related injuries and illnesses in the United States in 2017. These injuries and illnesses resulted in an estimated 1 million days of missed work. WMSDs can be prevented through the use of ergonomic principles. What are some common ergonomic hazards in the workplace? There are many different types of ergonomic hazards that are present in many workplaces. Some of the most common ergonomic hazards include repetitive motions. Repetitive motions are a type of hazard that occurs when workers perform the same task over and over again. This can cause strain on the muscles, tendons, and joints, which can lead to WMSDs. Awkward postures. Awkward postures are another type of hazard that can occur when workers have to maintain an unnatural position for an extended period of time. This can also lead to WMSDs. Forceful exertions. Forceful exertions are a type of hazard that occurs when workers have to use excessive force to perform a task. This can also lead to WMSDs. How can ergonomic hazards be prevented in the workplace? There are many different ways that ergonomic hazards can be prevented in the workplace. Some of the most effective ways to prevent ergonomic hazards include improving workstation design. One way to prevent ergonomic hazards is to improve the design of workstations. This can involve making changes to the layout of the workstation, adding or removing equipment, and changing the height of surfaces. Using proper lifting techniques. Another way to prevent ergonomic hazards is to use proper lifting techniques. This includes using the legs to lift rather than the back, keeping objects close to the body, and avoiding twisting motions. What are some tips for lifting and carrying objects? There are many different tips that can be followed when lifting and carrying objects so that you do not injure yourself. Some of these tips include planning ahead. Before lifting an object, it is important to take a few moments to plan your route and identify any potential hazards. This will help you to avoid any unnecessary risks. Lifting with your legs. When lifting an object, it is important to use your legs rather than your back. This will help to avoid strain on the muscles and joints. Keeping the object close to your body. It is also important to keep the object close to your body when carrying it. This will help you to maintain control of the object and avoid injury. Putting the object down safely. When you are finished carrying an object, it is important to put it down in a safe location. This will help to avoid any accidents or injuries. Ergonomic hazards are present in many workplaces. These hazards can lead to musculoskeletal disorders and other injuries. Ergonomic hazards can be prevented by taking steps such as improving workstation design, using proper lifting techniques, and taking breaks from repetitive tasks. Taking breaks. Another way to prevent ergonomic hazards is to take breaks from repetitive tasks. This will give the muscles, tendons, and joints a chance to rest and recover. Stress management in the workplace. Work-related stress is a common problem that can lead to a variety of health problems, including heart disease, high blood pressure, and anxiety. Stress can also impact your productivity and job satisfaction. It is important to learn how to properly manage stress in your workplace so that you can stay healthy and productive. There are many different types of stressors that can be present in your workplace. Some of the most common include deadlines. One of the most common stressors in the workplace is deadlines. It is important to learn how to properly manage your time so that you can meet deadlines without feeling overwhelmed. One way to do this is to create a realistic schedule that allows you enough time to complete your tasks. Additionally, it is important to delegate tasks when possible and ask for help when needed. Demanding bosses or coworkers. Another common stressor in the workplace is demanding bosses or coworkers. If you have a boss or coworker that is constantly putting pressure on you, it is important to learn how to properly handle the situation. One way to do this is to set boundaries and communicate your needs. Additionally, it is important to stay calm and professional when dealing with difficult people. Chaotic work environments. A chaotic work environment can also be a source of stress for workers. If your workplace is constantly in disarray, it is important to learn how to properly manage the chaos. One way to do this is to create a system for organizing your work area. Additionally, it is important to take breaks when needed and to stay focused on your tasks. Unrealistic job expectations. Unrealistic job expectations can also lead to stress in the workplace. If you feel like you are constantly being asked to do more than is possible, it is important to speak up. One way to do this is to set realistic goals with your boss or coworker. Additionally, it is important to take breaks when needed and to stay focused on your tasks. It is important to identify the stressors in your workplace so that you can find ways to reduce their impact on your health. Some stress reduction techniques that you may want to consider include taking breaks throughout the day. One of the best ways to reduce stress in the workplace is to take breaks throughout the day. This will allow you to take a few minutes to relax and rejuvenate. Additionally, it is important to make sure that you are taking care of your body by eating healthy meals and getting enough sleep. Exercising regularly. Exercising regularly is another great way to reduce stress in the workplace. Exercise releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects. Additionally, exercise can help to improve your overall health and well-being. Practicing relaxation techniques. Practicing relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or meditation can also help to reduce stress in the workplace. These techniques can help to calm your mind and body. Additionally, they can help to improve your overall health and well-being. Talking to a counselor or therapist. If you are struggling to cope with stress in the workplace, you may want to consider talking to a counselor or therapist. This professional can help you to identify the root causes of your stress and develop a plan to address them. Additionally, counseling or therapy can help to improve your overall health and well-being. Learning how to properly manage stress in your workplace can help you stay healthy and productive. Implementing stress reduction techniques can help you reduce your stress levels so that you can focus on your work and avoid health problems. Preventing accidents and injuries in the workplace. The best way to deal with accidents and injuries is to prevent them from happening in the first place. There are a number of steps that employers can take to create a safer workplace, including identifying and assessing risks and hazards in the workplace. Employers should regularly assess their workplace for potential hazards. This can be done through observations, employee interviews, and reviewing injury and incident reports. Developing and implementing health and safety policies and procedures. Once potential hazards have been identified, employers should develop policies and procedures to mitigate them. These policies and procedures should be well documented and communicated to all employees. Providing health and safety training for employees. Employees should be provided with health and safety training that is specific to their job duties. This training should cover topics such as how to identify potential hazards, how to prevent accidents and injuries, and what to do if an accident or injury does occur. Ensuring that all equipment is properly maintained and safe to use. All equipment should be regularly inspected and maintained to ensure that it is safe to use. Additionally, employers should have a process in place for employees to report any concerns about the safety of equipment. Creating a culture of safety in the workplace. Employees should feel comfortable reporting concerns about health and safety in the workplace. Employers should create an open and inclusive culture where employees feel like their voices will be heard. Additionally, employers should encourage employees to report near misses as well as accidents and injuries. In addition to these measures, employees also have a role to play in preventing accidents and injuries at work. Some tips for staying safe at work include Being aware of potential hazards in your work area. The first step in preventing accidents and injuries is to be aware of the potential hazards that exist in your work area. Take some time to familiarize yourself with your work environment and identify any potential risks. If you are unsure about something, ask your supervisor or another knowledgeable person. Following all health and safety policies and procedures. Your company should have policies and procedures in place to help keep workers safe. Make sure you are familiar with these policies and procedures and that you follow them at all times. If you see someone not following the rules, politely remind them of the proper procedure. Using personal protective equipment, PPE, as required. In some cases, you may be required to wear personal protective equipment, PPE, to reduce your exposure to hazards. Common types of PPE include gloves, safety glasses, and earplugs or earmuffs. Make sure you understand how to properly use and care for your PPE. Reporting any unsafe conditions or practices to your supervisor. If you see something that doesn't seem safe, say something. Don't wait for an accident to happen before you speak up. Report any unsafe conditions or practices to your supervisor right away. Taking care when using equipment and machinery. When using equipment or machinery, take the time to read the instructions and make sure you understand how to properly use the equipment. Never try to operate something if you are not sure how it works. If you have any questions, ask your supervisor or another knowledgeable person. Slips, trips, and falls are one of the most common types of accidents that occur in the workplace. They can happen anywhere, at any time, and to anyone. However, there are some things that you can do to help prevent them from happening. One of the best ways to prevent slips, trips, and falls is to create a safe work environment. This means keeping your work area clean and free of clutter. Make sure that all cords and wires are tucked away so they don't create a trip hazard. Also, be sure to keep walkways clear of obstacles. Another way to prevent slips, trips, and falls is to wear the proper safety equipment. This includes things like slip-resistant shoes and anti-fatigue mats. If you work in an environment where there is a lot of moisture, such as a kitchen or bathroom, be sure to wear slip-resistant shoes that have good traction. Finally, it's important to know how to properly use the safety equipment that is available to you. For example, if you are using a ladder, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions on how to safely use it. Additionally, make sure that you are always aware of your surroundings and know what obstacles might create a trip hazard. By following these tips, you can help prevent slips, trips, and falls in your workplace. Remember, accidents can happen anywhere, at any time, so it's important to always be vigilant and take precautions to avoid them. Responding to accidents and injuries in the workplace. Accidents and injuries are inevitable in any workplace. It is important to be prepared in case one does occur. By knowing what to do, you can help ensure that the victim receives the proper care and that the incident is properly documented. If an accident or injury does occur, the first step is to report it to your supervisor. Be sure to give them all of the details, including what happened and who was involved. Once the supervisor has been made aware of the incident, they will decide how to proceed. If someone is injured, it is important to provide first aid if possible. If you are not trained in first aid, then you should still notify a supervisor so that someone who is trained can provide assistance. Remember, even minor injuries can become serious if they are not treated properly. Once the victim has received any necessary medical care, it is important to fill out an accident report. This will document the incident so that it can be properly investigated. Be sure to include as many details as possible, such as what happened and who was involved. This report will help to ensure that the incident is properly handled and that any necessary steps are taken to prevent it from happening again in the future. Fire safety in the workplace. Fire safety is an important topic for all workers to understand. By taking the time to learn about fire safety, you can help prevent fires from happening in your workplace. Additionally, you can help keep yourself and your coworkers safe in the event of a fire. There are several things that can trigger a fire in the workplace. Some of the most common triggers include electrical equipment, flammable liquids, and combustible materials. To help prevent fires from happening, it is important to know how to properly use and store these materials. Additionally, workers should be aware of potential fire hazards in their work area and take steps to avoid them. There are several pieces of fire safety equipment that can be used in the workplace. These include fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, and sprinklers. It is important for workers to know how to properly use these items so that they can effectively extinguish a fire. Additionally, workers should know where these items are located in their work area so that they can quickly access them in the event of a fire. In the event of a fire, it is important for workers to remain calm and follow the instructions of their supervisor. Additionally, workers should evacuate the building immediately and go to a safe location. Once they are in a safe location, workers should call 911 and wait for emergency personnel to arrive. Occupational health and safety management. Occupational health and safety management is a systematic approach to protecting workers from exposure to health and safety hazards in the workplace. It includes identifying and assessing risks, implementing controls, monitoring conditions, and enforcing compliance with legislation. An effective occupational health and safety management system. 1. Ensures that workers are aware of potential hazards and know how to protect themselves. One of the most important aspects of an effective occupational health and safety management system is ensuring that workers are aware of potential hazards and know how to protect themselves. This can be done through training, signage, and other means of communication. 2. Provides clear roles and responsibilities for managers and employees. Another important aspect of an effective occupational health and safety management system is providing clear roles and responsibilities for managers and employees. This ensures that everyone knows their role in keeping the workplace safe and knows what to do in the event of an incident. 3. Sets out procedures for identifying, assessing, and controlling risks. An effective occupational health and safety management system will also set out procedures for identifying, assessing, and controlling risks. This ensures that risks are identified and controlled before they lead to accidents or injuries. 4. Monitors conditions in the workplace and enforces compliance with legislation. Another important aspect of an effective occupational health and safety management system is monitoring conditions in the workplace and enforcing compliance with legislation. This ensures that hazards are kept under control and that workers are protected from exposure to them. By taking the steps to create an effective occupational health and safety management system, you can help protect yourself and your coworkers. Occupational health and safety management is an essential part of any business. It helps to create a safe and healthy work environment, which can boost productivity and morale, and reduce stress levels and absenteeism. Implementing an occupational health and safety management system. When implementing an occupational health and safety management system, businesses should consider the following. The nature of the business and its activities. The first step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to identify the nature of the business and its activities. This will help to identify the hazards present in the workplace and the risks associated with them. The second step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to identify the type of workforce and their working environment. This will help to identify the hazards present in the workplace and the risks associated with them. The third step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to identify the hazards present in the workplace. This will help to identify the risks associated with them. The fourth step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to identify the risks associated with the hazards present in the workplace. This will help to determine the controls needed to mitigate these risks. The fifth step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to identify the controls needed to mitigate the risks associated with the hazards present in the workplace. This will involve selecting appropriate control measures and implementing them in the workplace. The sixth step in implementing an occupational health and safety management system is to put in place the monitoring and enforcement procedures required to ensure compliance with legislation. This will help to ensure that the controls are effective and that the workplace is safe. The benefits of an effective occupational health and safety management system include improved worker safety and health. An effective occupational health and safety management system can improve worker safety and health by reducing exposure to hazards in the workplace. This can help to reduce the incidence of workplace injuries and illnesses. Improved morale and productivity. An effective occupational health and safety management system can also improve morale and productivity by creating a safe and healthy work environment. This can boost morale and motivation and lead to increased productivity. Reduced stress levels. An effective occupational health and safety management system can also help to reduce stress levels in the workplace. This can improve work-life balance and lead to improved mental health. Reduced absenteeism. An effective occupational health and safety management system can also help to reduce absenteeism by ensuring that workers are not exposed to unsafe working conditions. This can improve attendance levels and lead to increased productivity. Creating a safe workplace. There are many hazards that are present in workplaces. Some of these hazards include slips, trips, and falls. One of the most common hazards in the workplace is slips, trips, and falls. These accidents can occur when floors are wet or cluttered. To prevent these accidents, it is important to keep floors clean and dry. Additionally, it is important to make sure that walkways are clear of obstacles. Exposure to harmful chemicals. Another hazard that is present in workplaces is exposure to harmful chemicals. These chemicals can be found in many different products that are used in the workplace. To protect workers from these chemicals, it is important to provide them with proper safety gear. Additionally, it is important to make sure that workers are aware of the dangers of these chemicals. Poor lighting. Poor lighting is another hazard that is present in workplaces. This hazard can lead to accidents and injuries. To prevent these accidents, it is important to make sure that work areas are well lit. Additionally, it is important to provide workers with proper safety gear. Cluttered work areas. Cluttered work areas are another hazard that is present in workplaces. This hazard can lead to accidents and injuries. To prevent these accidents, it is important to make sure that work areas are free of clutter. Additionally, it is important to provide workers with proper safety gear. Electrical hazards. Electrical hazards are another hazard that is present in workplaces. These hazards can lead to accidents and injuries. To prevent these accidents, it is important to make sure that electrical cables and equipment are properly maintained. Additionally, it is important to provide workers with proper safety gear. Machine hazards. Machine hazards are another hazard that is present in workplaces. These hazards can lead to accidents and injuries. To prevent these accidents, it is important to make sure that machines are properly maintained. Additionally, it is important to provide workers with proper safety gear. Working in a safe workplace is essential to protecting workers from accidents and injuries. By taking steps to reduce hazards in the workplace, you can create a safer environment for your employees. To create a safe workplace, it is important to identify the hazards that are present and take steps to address them. Some ways to address hazards include providing training on how to safely work in the presence of the hazard. This training can teach workers how to identify the hazard and how to avoid it. Additionally, this training can teach workers what to do if they are exposed to the hazard. Implementing safe work procedures. Another way to address hazards in the workplace is to implement safe work procedures. These procedures can teach workers how to safely work in the presence of the hazard. Additionally, these procedures can teach workers what to do if they are exposed to the hazard. Using personal protective equipment. Another way to address hazards in the workplace is to use personal protective equipment. This equipment can protect workers from exposure to the hazard. Additionally, this equipment can help to prevent accidents and injuries. It is also important to have a plan in place in case of an emergency. This plan should include things like evacuation routes and who to contact in case of an emergency. By taking the steps to create a safe workplace, you can help protect yourself and your coworkers.
Occupational health and well-being. The mission of the OHP is to promote research in the field of occupational health policy through networking, publications, and other activities. The professions covered by OHP are psychologist, social worker, physical therapist, physician assistant/physician associate, nurse practitioner/registered nurse, chronic pain specialist. Journal of Occupational Health Psychology, JOHP, is a peer-reviewed academic journal that publishes papers in the field of psychology as it relates to occupational well-being. The journal's editor is Stanley B. Levy, Ph.D., Long Island University. It has been in publication since 1998 and is currently published by Sage Publications. One of the difficulties confronting IO psychologists in the late 20th century, when they were interested in workplace health, was resistance from within their field to publish research on workers' health. They would argue that occupational health psychology was a public health specialty and to publish in this journal would be appropriate. In the 21st century, more IO psychologists have collaborated with their OHP counterparts from other fields to study work and health. Journals that publish research in this area are the JOHP, Work and Stress, Journal of Organizational Behavior Management, Health Psychology, and others. Subjects covered by these journals include job stress, work-family issues, employee assistance programs, EAP, workplace violence, occupational health psychology, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, at work, patient safety, long working hours, physician stress, mental health services in organizations, workplace interventions for substance abuse, employee well-being. Occupational health psychology is a specialty in the field of psychology that focuses on psychological and behavioral aspects in the workplace. While working in this area, psychologists assume responsibility for promoting and protecting the well-being and health of workers and their families. This can include improving productivity through increased safety and reduced stress, reducing risk factors such as injury, absenteeism, and turnover, promoting health in the workplace through programs such as smoking cessation, cancer screening, blood drives, dietary counseling in work sites. The three primary domains in occupational health psychology are 1. Research on occupational stress factors operating at workplace. 2. Research on the relationship between psychosocial factors at workplace and workers' physical health. 3. Research on the evaluation of preventive policies. In order to be successful, the occupational health psychologists need to work closely with people from other professions including epidemiology, medical science, medicine, health policy, and law. The development of organizational health psychology has given psychologists a new perspective on why people stay healthy or unhealthy at work. For example, if someone is stressed out by his or her family rather than at work, the problem is not seen as occupational stress. Yet, if someone is stressed out by work and also has a difficult time coping with their family life, this creates double jeopardy. Occupational health psychology began in the United States during World War II when the U.S. government created the Committee on Medical Sciences to deal with the effects of war-related injuries on soldiers, sailors, and Marines. After World War II ended, nearly half of Americans were employed by large companies. This led to mass investigation into the minority of employees who suffered from medical problems that interfered with their work performance. For example, it was found out that 15% of all employees in a battery factory in New York had high blood pressure. By the 1960s, when it became clear that there was a need for occupational health psychology, psychologists with training in physiology and medicine were recruited. These psychologists assumed expertise in the area of work stress and its effect on worker productivity. In order to address this issue, they looked at psychophysiological response to stressful tasks and created methods for reducing stressors in the workplace. In 1971, a group of German psychologists led by Hans Selye established health psychology as an independent discipline within the field of psychology. This gave these psychologists a common subject matter, both internal and external factors that influence health and illness. In order to participate in such research, psychologists need special training and knowledge, and often a license, in the field of medicine. For example, occupational health psychologists working with employees who have chronic diseases need to be familiar with scientific evidence on medical treatment and management, changes in quality of life, workplace rehabilitation, work performance and productivity, and help-seeking behaviors.
Handling hazardous materials in the workplace. There are a variety of hazardous materials that you may encounter in your workplace. Some of these include asbestos. Asbestos is a mineral fiber that was once commonly used in a variety of construction materials. It is now known to be a carcinogen, and exposure to asbestos can lead to a variety of health problems, including lung cancer. If you think you may have been exposed to asbestos, it is important to seek medical attention and notify your supervisor immediately. Lead. Lead is a heavy metal that can be found in a variety of materials, including paint and pipes. Exposure to lead can cause a variety of health problems, including brain damage. If you think you may have been exposed to lead, it is important to seek medical attention and notify your supervisor immediately. Mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal that can be found in a variety of products, including thermometers and fluorescent light bulbs. Exposure to mercury can cause a variety of health problems, including brain damage. If you think you may have been exposed to mercury, it is important to seek medical attention and notify your supervisor immediately. Benzene. Benzene is a chemical that is found in a variety of products, including gasoline and plastics. Exposure to benzene can cause a variety of health problems, including leukemia. If you think you may have been exposed to benzene, it is important to seek medical attention and notify your supervisor immediately. Each of these materials comes with its own set of hazards that you need to be aware of. For example, asbestos can cause lung cancer, while lead can damage the nervous system. It is important to know the risks associated with each type of hazard so that you can take the proper precautions. To protect yourself from exposure to hazardous materials, you should always wear the appropriate personal protective equipment, PPE. This could include gloves, respirators, and protective clothing. You should also make sure to follow all safety procedures when handling or disposing of these materials. When disposing of hazardous materials, it is important to do so in a safe and responsible manner. This means using the proper disposal methods and following all local, state, and federal regulations. Improper disposal of hazardous materials can lead to environmental contamination and health risks. If you are exposed to any of these hazardous materials, it is important to seek medical attention and notify your supervisor immediately. These materials can be extremely dangerous, and exposure can lead to a variety of serious health problems. By taking quick action, you can help ensure that you receive the treatment you need and that the incident is properly documented. Working safely with machinery in the workplace. There are many different types of hazards that can be present when working with machinery. Some of the more common hazards include flying debris, moving parts, electrical shock, and noise. It is important to be aware of these hazards and take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from them. When working with machinery, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper use and maintenance. Additionally, you should always wear proper personal protective equipment, PPE, when using or working around machinery. PPE includes items such as gloves, safety glasses, and earplugs. If an accident does occur while working with machinery, it is important to seek medical attention immediately. You should also report the accident to your supervisor so that an investigation can be conducted. Additionally, you should take pictures of the accident scene and collect any evidence that may be valuable in determining the cause of the accident. Working safely with machinery in the workplace requires knowledge of the different types of hazards that are present and how to properly protect yourself from them. Additionally, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions for proper use and maintenance of machinery. Finally, if an accident does occur, you should seek medical attention immediately and report the accident to your supervisor.
Hello and welcome. I'd like your full attention while I briefly go through some safety concerns in this short workplace safety presentation. There are 3 key steps towards safety in the workplace: identifying the risk, assessing the risk, controlling the risk and reviewing its effectiveness. Put simply, the best way to prevent injuries or illness is to find potential hazards and fix them. Please take the next few moments to consider the following key procedures. Wherever possible, eliminate the risk. Simply remove the hazard. Substitute the hazard. Substitute the hazard with a new piece of equipment or work practice. Isolate. Isolate the hazard or hazardous work practice. Engineering controls. Adapt tools or equipment to minimise risk. Administrative controls. Change work practices or implement more training. And of course, make sure personal protective equipment is worn when required. Remember, safety is an ongoing practice. Just because it's safe today doesn't mean it's safe tomorrow. Hazardous manual tasks like lifting, pushing, pulling or carrying are common in every workplace. The most frequently injured parts of the body from these kinds of tasks are the back, shoulders and wrists. These injuries are known as musculoskeletal disorders or MSDs. Most derive from repetitive, sustained or awkward movements as well as high or sudden force. By managing these hazards through consideration of posture, movement and the environment, we can create a safer workplace. To do this, the simplest approach is step back and be aware of every aspect of the task at hand, every time. If injuries continue to occur, more rigorous actions may need to be taken.
At St Andrew's Hospital, bariatric management of patients is an important factor to help prevent injuries to nursing staff. The patient throughout their stay will move from a variety of settings, from admission to the ward, to theatre, to recovery and then back to the ward. This patient's moved several times within a short period of time and may cause injury to nursing staff to their shoulder or to their back.
Sometimes a hazard can be removed by simply performing the manual task differently, perhaps by pushing, not pulling, sliding rather than lifting.
At St Andrews, we believe by conducting job safety assessments on our high-risk tasks, we are able to reduce the number of workplace injuries. Some of the safety equipment that we have implemented to reduce manual handling injuries have been the hover mat, bariatric wheelchairs, and also slippery SAMs, which has reduced the amount of manual handling injuries significantly across the hospital.
Equipment is now available and widely used to enable the safe manual handling of people in all environments and should be used throughout all these facilities.
Art Lab's a pretty amazing place. It's responsible for caring for the state's collections. That means restoring or looking after the artefacts and artworks that are held in the Art Gallery of South Australia, the South Australian Museum. So the conservators are highly skilled professionals. They're a bit like brain surgeons, only they work on cultural objects rather than human beings. The major health issue is that these conservators often work for a long time in static poses, and they're often quite awkward poses. So the conservators were at a high risk of developing musculoskeletal disorders. Because of our experiences and learnings from working with the Eureka flag and reducing the risks, Art Lab went out to seek advice from a local manufacturer who worked with ergonomist Joe Bills and with Art Lab staff to custom design and to build motorised equipment that would enable the conservators to have height adjustable tables and sloped surfaces to work on. So the results have been fantastic for Art Lab staff. So in fact, we've conserved the conservators.
This is an excellent example of an organisation utilising participatory ergonomics and thinking outside the square. When safety of workers is involved, external expertise can assist an organisation to come up with their own unique solutions to problems that have been traditionally difficult to solve.
Almost 50% of workplace injuries occur because of hazardous manual tasks. Soft tissue injuries like sprains and strains, along with nerve compression, muscular and vascular disorders, are common. Some workplaces will require specialised actions or movements to achieve the particular job task. Sometimes, to get the best outcome for awkward or sustained posture is to innovate the solution.
Sage Automation is an industrial automation and controls company who specialises in advanced manufacturing. It's this capability that enabled us to assist one of South Australia's famous artisan bakeries, Perriman's Bakery. Neil Perriman came to Sage with an exciting challenge in that what they were looking to do was expand their production, produce more of their gingerbread babies to sell all over Australia. This created a new challenge for him in that the gingerbread babies were individually iced by his employees. Now this task was very labour intensive and quite fatiguing. The solution that we landed upon was a combination of a robot and a vision system. Now, one of Neil's specific requirements was to make sure that he continued to employ the same number of people in his operation, but deliver a much faster and more efficient outcome. But it's also created a new and exciting opportunity for the employees to upskill and really focus on the part that Neil really wanted them to focus on, which was the creation of artisan bakery goods.
If a task is highly repetitious, then a robot is a very good solution to this task, and leave the people to do what they're best at.
A fact sheet and checklist have been developed to reduce risks in all workplace environments, so please take the time to read them. This will ensure you're aware of any potential hazards in your work area. Be aware and be safe.